Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Hi. Thank you for taking the time to join us as we launch the 12 Days of Christmas under the Nadotty of Jamaica Plastic-Free Christmas campaign. So my name is Lauren Query. I am the Program Director at Jamaica Environment Trust. And today I have with me Kalia. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Kalia Hall, and I'm the Sustainability Coordinator here at Esiram Limited, which is a digital marketing agency based in Kingston and next year also Montego Bay.
All right, so why are we here today? What's this campaign all about? So we both have an interest in communicating to, the general public that we need to be reducing the amount of plastic that we're using, especially during the Christmas period, right? So in collaboration with Esiram today, we're going to be sharing some of the work that we've been doing, what you can look out for on social media, and some of the plans that JET has for next year under a new project. So I'm just going to take the liberty here and just tell you a bit about the project that we're operating under, and then I'll let Kalia also tell us about, why Esiram was interested in this plastic-free Christmas campaign. All right, so JET is launching a campaign today. The first graphic is already up, day one, 12 days of Christmas, and this initiative is under a new project using previous materials from JET's Nadotty of Jamaica campaign, but this project is called Increasing the Awareness on the Impacts of Improper Solid Waste Disposal on Public Health, Livelihoods, and the Marine Environment. So that's a long name, but you'll recognize the Nadotty of Jamaica brand. And we've received funding from the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program to deliver this project for the next year until November. So we're very excited about that.
So before we get into Esiram and our participation, I just wanted to ask a little bit more about your project. After this Christmas campaign, what else is going to be happening in 2023? And is it still going to be focused on plastics or exploring other areas?
All right, so there are a few components to this project that you might be familiar with. We have the Nadotty of Jamaica Cleanup Network, which we've done before. We provide kits to communities to facilitate cleanup activities. We have model communities, which is a little more intense this time around. So we're working with communities, doing workshops and helping them to facilitate or helping them to develop a composting program and a recycling program as well. So working directly with them. And then you'll be seeing new PSAs, radio. We have a radio show that we'll be doing next year as well. So TV, radio, and then of course, social media. We have road trips coming up. So we're going to Kingston. Well, we'll be in Kingston, but Portmore and Montego Bay as well. And then we are doing beach cleanups. So there are a lot of opportunities for people to volunteer. Project, we're focusing a little bit more on plastics. The Global Environment Facility has a plastic innovation program, so our project falls under that program. And they want to see, development or the updating of policies surrounding plastic. They want to see public education. They also want communities to kind of have a circular economy going. So what can they do with their trash so that they can earn from it and make sure it's not ending up in the landfill. And then there's another aspect that JET is not touching on, which is more like collecting baseline data to kind of work with studies and so on. Okay. So that is what we're doing. But JET has always been focused on Nadotty of Jamaica. I remember last week, Neville from Smile Jamaica said, "You're always talking rubbish." I said, "I'm talking about rubbish, but it's not rubbish." Okay. So,
that's a lot. I had a lot of thoughts as you were speaking. But that's a lot that's happening next year. One thing that jumped out at me is the workshops, because I feel like Jamaicans don't really know what to do with one, garbage, and two, their plastic. I still see people throw, bottles out their window. And even though Recycling Partners of Jamaica, they have this system in place, people still don't know that it's just plastic bottles, one. Sometimes I look in recycling bins and I say, you know, plastic forks or like a Starbucks plastic cup when it's plastic bottles only, and you have to have like the lid on the bottle as well, which some people don't know, right?
Or it can be recycled as well. So the bottle caps, everything, just you can take it to them, but they only take type 1 and type 2 plastics. So if you stick around on our pages, you will get more information on the types of plastics that can be recycled. We definitely want to share as much information as possible with as many people as possible on how they can recycle their plastics and how they can earn from it. So that is one piece of information you'll get through this 12 Days of Christmas campaign. But I wanted to find out from you, Kalia, why. So you said SRM is a digital marketing agency. So how come plastic-free Christmas?
Yeah, I think it's something a lot of people wonder. So we launched SRM Foundation maybe 2 weeks ago, I think. It's very new. I work in the sustainability division, which is a completely new division, only 3 months old. So this is all new. And I feel like a lot of people ask or wonder, why is SRM doing all of this work, as a marketing agency? And honestly, it's because I think any corporate entity has a responsibility to give back, whether that's to people or the community, especially if their business is causing some kind of harm to those parties, And as a marketing company, a core part of our practice contributes to capitalism. And it's important to us to not just do well as a business and be profitable, which is obvious, but also do good in the community by giving back. And we specifically choose to focus on sustainability initiatives because climate change is so important, people. It's a term we hear all the time. And I feel like sometimes we just brush it off because it's something in the future that is not necessarily affecting us right now. It is, but in very small ways. And we see it as something that we should start taking small steps now so that in the future it won't be as dire. So that's really why we're doing this. And
what it sounds like to me is that people, so it's profit, but also people and planet.
Yeah.
And so moving forward, I think a lot of, all corporate entities, all businesses, small or large, should be taken into consideration. Their profit, of course, but people and the planet as well. So I think what we should share,
with the people.
We should share the people. why are we doing this? What's the big deal with plastics? And what are the real issues that we're right?
Because everybody buys, a plastic bottle with juice, in the day. A construction man, when he's thirsty, him run to the shop. And I think it's such a big part of our daily lives. Hopefully, you from Jet and I, we take our reusable bottles and everything, but it's definitely something we use on a daily basis. So
yeah, so plastic is all around us. But there are 3 main issues that I'm going to talk about today, about why plastic is such a big problem that we cannot ignore, basically. So plastic is made from fossil fuels. So it's derived from, that it's man-made and it's from fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are not a renewable resource. So that in itself is an issue. But the entire fossil fuel industry is contributing to climate change. So by driving demand, we need more plastic. We have to take more oil and everything to create the plastic. And even within the process of making plastic, you have negative impacts on environment, health of the community surrounding, and so on. So that's the number one. That is the first issue, not number one issue. Second,
can I say something? I think it's so important for you to say that, because when people think of the plastic problem and plastic pollution, a lot of the time they think of plastic leaking into the ocean or someone, improperly disposing of plastic, but they don't think about the upstream problems from when plastic production starts. So yeah, that's definitely, as you said, a big part of the problem.
Yeah, so all along the production chain from manufacturer to disposal, it's an issue. So secondly is the fact that it's not biodegradable. So you and I spoke about this yesterday. What is biodegradable versus degradable? Does it break down? How long does it last? So plastics take an extremely long time to break down in nature, but they never fully go away. So biodegradable, they would disappear in some cases, return nutrients back to the soil. That's not happening with plastic, right? So it will break down into tiny, tiny pieces of plastic and releasing chemicals along the way that are toxic, because it's made from fossil fuels. And then you have like microplastic down, which means it just persists in the environment. You see it in the gullies, you see it in the ocean. Beach cleanup, #1 collected item since 2008. Every year we're saying the same thing. The plastic bottles, there's so many plastic bottles because they just don't go away. So they take up a lot of space. They can cause flooding when they block the drains and so on. So they've just been around for a long time is a big issue in itself. And then as they break down, they cause more problems, such as the issue with microplastics. So you want to know that when fish eat the microplastics, people catch the fish, and then we eat the fish, and then we... So
accumulation.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're finding microplastics in bloodstream, in people's lungs, and so on. So we don't really want that at all. Yeah. So then the third issue is that despite people's best efforts, because I know everybody out there is a perfect person in disposing their garbage, right? But the fact that a lot of the plastic that is produced becomes waste inevitably. So, and then that waste is not taken to the dump, it's not put in the garbage, it's not, it's just out there in the environment. And so it becomes pollution, a form of pollution, and then that has negative effects. So your marine environment, it also has impacts on public health, rats and so on, the different vectors that carry diseases, malaria and all that. And then, as I had mentioned, the increased hazard and risks of drainage being blocked. So that's another big issue. And then also, more importantly, well, not more importantly, but it's important as well. So we are part of the environment. It benefits us. We have to take care of it. And it impacts our livelihoods. So, the fisherman who is there catching fish, but the nurseries for the fish are being smothered in plastic, like the mangroves. So that impacts the fish stock that's there. And then now, so Jet has recently done a project on fishing gear that's been discarded or lost, and it's called ghost gear. So that also keeps fishing or ghost fishing, so that impacts the fish stocks as well. And that's a form of plastic pollution, the fishing gear, the lines, the nets, all those flotation devices and so on, they just become garbage when they're lost. So that's
we visited Kingston Harbour the other day. I don't know if you saw the reels on our page. And Trevor, a fisherman, took us out on his boat and, was just telling us about his experience on the water.
Environmental cleanup guy. That's
yes, I'm an environmental cleanup guy. You guys can go and watch the reel at SRM Foundation. But yeah, he was telling us about how plastic impacts his business and, as he said, livelihood, because destroying an entire ecosystem is going to mean like a lower population of certain species, and so whatever they used to catch and sell before, now they're catching less of that and they make less money. But then also, as he said, it's, in the food chain, so we love fish, everybody loves Go Health Show, but it's just something to be conscious of, that it's in our food as well. It really affects so many different areas.
Yeah.
And I think we like to feel good about recycling. But by the way, I'm recently learning about all of this. Lauren is my little teacher. She taught me the difference between something that just degrades and decomposes and something that is biodegradable, as she was mentioning before. And I recently learned that 91% of all the plastic we produce globally does not recycle it. Yeah. So if you're throwing things in the recycling bin, sometimes when it gets to the place, they're like, nope, we can't recycle this, and they just throw it in the landfill. And that's because there's so many different types of plastics. It's difficult and it's expensive to sort through all of that. And then you can't melt it all down together and, turn it into a new product. So it just ends up in the landfill.
And you can't keep recycling plastic over and over. So after maybe it's recycled, that's kind of it for the plastic. So we're really aiming to reduce the amount of plastic that we are using and generating, but then also, you know, for like your plastic bottles, your water bottles, other things that are unavoidable, then you make sure you recycle those after. But the first step is to kind of look at your daily habits and what can you do to reduce the amount of plastic that becomes garbage, so that you're using every day. So the 12 days of Christmas campaign that we're launching, every day we'll be giving you a tip on how to reduce the amount of garbage that you're producing over Christmas, because you know there are a lot of different activities. We're going out, we're eating with our friends,
you're
and
buying
family.
the Christmas tree.
Exactly, holding for presents and decorations. But so you want to reduce the amount of garbage you're producing, but then also the amount of plastics you're producing as well. So on day 4 of our campaign, we're going to feature some of the work that Esirang has been doing. So you can tell us about that initiative.
Okay, so under Esirang Foundation and the Plastic Free Christmas campaign that we launched, we have a Bring Your Own Cup initiative, BYOC. Everybody is familiar with BYO. And basically what we did was we partnered with cafes island-wide, basically all the major cafes. So Cafe Blue, Cafe Dolce, Starbucks, Ragamuffin, Rituals, Lemongrass.
We have them.
I'm leaving one in 7 and I'm leaving one off and I'm
Jacana.
Jacana,
Yes.
Thank you. And you bring your reusable cups, so a thermos or a tumbler in store, you get 10% off. So it's a win-win, you know, you're doing something good for the environment and you're saving money yourself. And I don't know about you guys, but I love to save money. So if you're a coffee drinker or a cafe frequenter, you should definitely participate. And we hope, honestly, the feedback we've been getting is, can this be something not just for Christmas that will continue into the new year? So fingers crossed the cafes will be on board for making it just a permanent thing.
So there was a reel that you posted the other day where you came in, you had one cup, the next cups, and then by the time you look, there's like a pile of cups that you've used for whatever period it was, and we could just avoid all of that garbage and plastic by just carrying a cup every day, you know what I mean? And then your reusable water bottle, if you kind of go to the same place every day and you're able to carry that with you, that will just eliminate so many bottles for the year when you think about it, because you can do your own calculations. What's interesting is if you do like a garbage audit of yourself, so like at the end of the week you say, okay, I used 20 plastic bottles, I need to do something about that. I think it does take a lot of thinking about it first, and you have to change the way that you think, so to change your habits. I think it's gotten a little, I don't think I'm extreme yet, but I will go in the supermarket and try and choose like the least plastic packaging. I look for the pasta that is not in a plastic bag, and now they have the ones in the cardboard box without the plastic window. And I'm like, that's what I'm buying forevermore. Because, you know, or you try and buy things in bulk that you can pour out. You just really have to think, and then if so many people are making these small changes, instead of trying to do a huge overhaul, change your life in one day, and it does have a big impact, especially since bottles are the biggest issue. And we see a lot of water bottles. So there is a recycling depot at the JET office. So that's 123 Constant Spring Road, Unit 5. You can come and drop off your plastic bottles there. We're still getting a lot of people that just like buy cases of water and then it just becomes the garbage. You can buy a filter, or you can try and buy the bigger bottles. So you
just refill, exactly.
Yeah. So if you just kind of look at what are you using every day, simple things, reusable straws.
I'd say the food and beverage industry contributes a lot to single-use plastics.
Yes.
In our day-to-day lives, it's the lunch we get, the dinner we get. I don't think people really buy breakfast. But, you know, it's the lunch with the drink, with the fork, produces a lot of waste. And it was shocking to me once the other day, I was abroad and I got breakfast somewhere. And the waste I produced just to fill my little belly with breakfast was ridiculous. It was like two packaging around the croissant, like another thing with the fork, and then something else, and the bag, and I just sat there, you know, putting it in the bin
like
and
mountain
thinking,
of garbage on any little croissant there.
That the waste you create just to you know, do very simple things.
Another thing that people might not think of is that you can refuse to take things.
Yes.
So when I go to, my coworkers know that I love a KFC. So when I go to KFC and I get up for everybody, nobody's getting a fork from KFC. We have the forks in the office. We have a fully stocked little kitchenette there. So everybody will have to get them fork, get them spoon, whatever it is that we having for lunch that we get on the road. We're not taking the plastics. And sometimes I don't take the straws either because I'll carry my own straw, you know? And that's, I think everybody has, like in their cupboard or something, like a mountain of plastic forks that they're just not used.
At home you have that little
drawer. They come right home.
Yeah.
You come right home or you go to the office and then you're like, well, I don't really need this. And so it just builds up. So you can avoid that by refusing.
Or sometimes you'll buy one item somewhere and they put it in, even paper. I think we like to think, oh, paper, it decomposes 2 to 6 weeks, so it's fine to get it. But in general, I feel we should cut down on waste production. So if you bought a mint and they put it in a paper bag and you could just stick the mint in your handbag, just say no thank you and hand them back.
Yeah, so that's always an option as well. And I don't think we brought this out, but a point I wanted to make, because I know that this kind of made me think a lot, that every piece of plastic that we've used is still there somewhere because they take hundreds of years to break down. So a toothbrush that you used, or maybe your first toothbrush as a baby or as an infant, toddler, is still out there somewhere in the landfill, or if it never got disposed of properly, it's out there in the environment somewhere. So every piece of plastic that you use is, and in Jamaica actually we generate garbage and single-use plastic waste at a higher rate than some other countries per capita. And
where do you find these statistics? Because I'm constantly searching for Jamaican stats and I can't find them. So I know a lot about the US and UK and Australia, but Jamaica, very little.
UNEP has a lot, so that's United Nations Environment Program.
Let me write it down.
They have a lot of information. And so Trinidad, I know, is another top producer of single-use plastic waste, but I don't know what it is about us in these small islands in the Caribbean, but we do produce waste at a higher rate, especially in the urban areas as well. So all of these tips we'll have on our page. So we are doing our 12 days of Christmas. They've been posting reels. They have your bring your own cup initiative. So you might see us repost each other's content. So we're just trying to push it to as many people as we can. So the Nadotty Up Jamaica pages, we have Instagram. So you're here at Nadotty Up JA. Nadotty Up Jamaica, sorry. Twitter is at Nadotty Up JA, and then we have a Facebook page, Nadotty Up Jamaica. And your pages?
On Instagram, you can find out more about the foundation, so all things sustainability related, at Esiram Foundation. The business page is just at Esiram. And we have a Facebook page, Esiram Foundation, and you can visit byocjamaica.com to find out more information about that specific campaign. We're new, so information will be coming out with time.
Great. So if you have any questions, you can send them to any of our social media pages and we can answer them. But we are wrapping up now. We don't want to keep you too long until lunchtime. So thank you so much again for joining us and taking the time out of your day. We hope you learned a lot, and we'll be implementing some small changes as we go along, especially during Christmas. And you can look out for our 12 days and 12 tips that we'll be posting on our pages.
And if you haven't had lunch yet, or maybe you had lunch, so for tomorrow, just be conscious of the plastic you're taking with your lunch, and bring your reusable bottle. I have mine right there.
All right, and I just want to again thank our donor, the Jeff SGP Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, for supporting this campaign. And you can look out for updates on activities next year. We're looking for volunteers for next year, so just reach out to us and we'll add you to our database. All right, so thanks again, and that's it from myself and Kalia.
Thank you. Bye.
Right, bye.